Coming up on this edition of Cogeco News, while the coronavirus is at the forefront of public consciousness, we focus on World Hepatitis Day. Local brewery reopens, and in sports, our Greg Esterbrook needs tennis lessons. Welcome inside the Your TV studio for this Tuesday edition of Cogeco News. Truly local, my name is Clark Heipel. Find the missing millions. That is the slogan for World Hepatitis Day, which happens to be this Tuesday, July 28th. Those missing millions refers to the near 300 million people worldwide who are unaware they are living with viral hepatitis. Locally, the AIDS Committee of North Bay and area continues to fight the battle against the disease.
We're here testing at the Pharmacy on Marshall Park as part of our sort of World Hepatitis Week. It's a little bit different this year. We usually do a big barbecue in front of City Hall to celebrate World Hepatitis Day. We usually do testing there, but due to COVID, we weren't able to do that, unfortunately. So this is kind of part and parcel of our attempt to, in a safe way, celebrate World Hepatitis Week. Well, so across the world, there are still millions of people who are affected by hepatitis, viral hepatitis, and many of them don't know their status. So World Hepatitis Day is a way to sort of raise awareness that this is a virus that's out there. It is where you can do tests for it, and that it is treatable. At least Hep C is very, very treatable. And there have been new treatments in the last few years that make it really, really easy to get rid of the virus altogether. It's really simple. We have what are called point of care tests. So they're just this little finger prick, like a diabetic lancet. Little quick poke on the finger, takes a tiny, tiny little bit of blood, and then we have the test. We have results in 20 minutes. So it's pretty non-invasive, and you get to know today whether you've ever been exposed to hepatitis C or not. For hepatitis C, you can have hepatitis C for years, decades even, and not know that you have it. So it's not something where you kind of get this big red flag necessarily. Some people get really sick and will go to the hospital with it, but for the majority of people, it's something that can kind of just sit there in your liver, doing damage to your liver, but not really giving you any overt signs. And so we're trying to make the push for testing, because once you know if you have it, then you can get treated. But it's the kind of thing where you wouldn't necessarily know just by the way you feel, or just by any signs or symptoms that you have. I would say the biggest thing is, and one of the reasons that we've been trying to get out and test folks, is that there is this really good treatment now. So it used to be the case that that the treatment was very long. It took a long time. You had to take pills. You had to do injections. You got really sick most of the time. Like, people got really sick when they were doing this, and it wasn't a really good guarantee of a cure. And now it's really short, 8 weeks to 12 weeks, just pills, and it's 95 to 98% effective in new medications. So really good reason to come get tested, because if you do have hepatitis C, we can get rid of it.
Area politicians are on the same page when it comes to the recently placed mask mandate, which came into effect last Friday. You are asked to wear a mask like this one when entering public enclosed spaces such as grocery stores, drugstores, and retail stores. Contrary to what's happening in many parts of the United States of America, north of the border, regardless of the politician's stripe, the message is consistent. Wear a mask and stop the spread of COVID-19.
Well, if you can stay 6 feet away and practice social distancing, and you're outdoors, there are opportunities. But I have to tell you, when you're indoors, regardless of the local bylaws, you should be wearing a mask indoors. And yes, here in North Bay, we do have mask bylaw. We're trying to make sure that we have all families that are safe, all your employees that are safe, your customers that are safe. So do the right thing, wear a mask when you're indoors. I have a series of them that I wear, my bright yellow one, which has been worn throughout Ontario. Every time I go indoors, I have an opportunity to wear a mask. That's what you need to do.
And I encourage everyone to wear their masks when you're going into a public place. Just to be on the safe side, you're not only protecting yourself, but you're protecting others even more, so it stops the spread. So when you see someone without a mask, just politely ask them, maybe you should be wearing a mask.
Because there are been lots of incidents of fights brewing because of people over the mask issue.
Exactly. I mean, a mask is something that protects all of us, and it's something that we should all be wearing. So, again, when you go out, I encourage everyone to wear a mask.
If you are unsure about certain things to do when equipping and removing a mask, visit the local health unit website at myhealthunit.ca. And as we told you last week, after a long closure, Royal Canadian Legion Branch 445 in Callender on Lansdowne Street is ready to reopen its doors on Thursday. Quote, it won't be a full-blown reopening, but it will be open 3 days a week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday from 1 to 5 p.m., unquote. That's Nancy Clark of the Legion. And she goes on to say that they will make further decisions about hours in the near future, depending on the response from Legion members, as well as members of the public. Everyone is welcome. And Clark adds that 4 months of closure has caused a huge financial hit to the Legion. North Bay's Kevin McKenna is a man on a mission. For the foreseeable future, the plan is to log a minimum of 500 kilometers on his bike per month. While this would be a major accomplishment for virtually all of us, what makes this goal even more incredible is that McKenna is paralyzed from the chest down. Late last week, we told you about para-athlete Kevin McKenna logging 500 kilometers per month in a fundraiser for SICKKIDS Foundation in Toronto. His fundraising and cycling efforts have grown thanks to all the support.
Initially, I started out with 400 kilometers for my August challenge, but because there's been so many gracious people and so many generous donations, and I hit my milestone of $500 within a couple days. So I said, you know what? These kids push every day. I've always pushed myself, and I said I'm going to do 100 kilometers more if I can raise. I'm going to raise my bar for another $1,500 is my end goal, but that can happen throughout the whole month of August. So if I hit it, I hit it, but I'm going to push really hard to hit my 500 kilometers. McKenna
suffered the paralyzing injury when he was 16 years of age.
When I was younger, I was fearless and invincible. I had an ATV rollover when I was 16 years old, so kind of put a halt to my life at that time, but I've always learned to push forward, and I've met a lot of inspirational people myself along the way that have encouraged me to get into sports, and I played sledge hockey off and on for a number of years, and cycling I've done on my own sort of recreational level, but now I'm trying to up that a bit and see where it goes from there.
While sharing McKenna's story is truly inspirational, this story on our airwaves also serves as an educational piece. It isn't all that often drivers come across a cyclist sitting down close to the road.
Sometimes there's some confusion with people looking at the bike. They think it's one of the recumbent bikes that you pedal with your feet, and until they really stop and take a look at it, then they realize I'm propelling the bike solely with my arms. I'm paralyzed from the chest down, like Dave, so it's all shoulders and arms that I'm pushing the bike with. And there's 27 speeds, but I mean it's still a hard push when you get going 20 kilometers an hour, 23 kilometers an hour. So.
And one thing I noticed, there's no shocks. So an able-bodied person with no shocks hurts, and so you're sitting down and you got no shocks.
Yeah. We all complain about the rough roads, the potholes and stuff, and I definitely have a hard time dodging those potholes with 3 wheels compared to 2. So I lost my water bottle on the way here, and it smashed on the road. So.
And what do you want drivers to know when they approach you from behind when you're biking on the shoulder of the inside lane?
I mean, safety is always a concern, and that's for able-bodied riders and 3-wheel riders here. So I use the flag, I use lights, always wear the helmet and stuff. But no matter what you do, there's always that fear of somebody not being able to see you on the road. So all you can really do is ask people to be more aware. It's summertime, and there's cyclists on the road, and they come in all different sizes and shapes. So whether it's me probably at the lowest on my hand cycle, and then children on 2 wheels going up from there, there's always somebody around that next corner. So you got to be diligent.
To donate to the cause in McKenna's cycling effort, check out Great Cycle Challenge Canada on Facebook. We have reached break time here on this Tuesday edition of Cogeco News. Do stay tuned. We have a story from Bonfield's Reptile Adventure Camp as well as a well-tasting beverage story. All that right after this. Welcome back to Cogeco News. Bit by bit, food and beverage businesses are reopening. The latest after a delay is the new Ontario brewery. During the COVID pandemic, which is continuing, its relocation was slowed down just a hair. However, it has set up shop on Seymour at the Northern Ontario Honda site, the previous site of that dealership. Greg has the story.
Well, the owners wanted to ensure that everyone was safe, that we had the right procedures and protocols in place for both our staff and the customers. So we feel like we've done a good job at that.
How close to full staffing are you now?
We're slowly getting up there. We have a lot of our full-time positions back in business, and we, depending on the trends and what happens, we're hoping definitely always to hire more part-time staff.
And it's easy to sit out in the patio without a mask on,
Right.
but once you go inside to drink, the mask goes back on.
Yeah, so we just encourage everyone to follow the rules that are as directed by the health unit. So basically, if you're interacting with anyone, you want to be wearing a mask when you come in, when you order your beer. Staff will be wearing masks as well. And when you're sitting down at a table on the patio, obviously you can't drink with a mask on, so.
New establishment, obviously a lot more room here. Does that mean more responsibility, especially in regards to safeguards and disinfecting and all that kind of stuff?
Well, I think that the bigger space is actually safer in our eyes. It allows for social distancing to be maximized. It's a nice, open, very clean space, so it's easy to maintain the cleanliness factor. Tables are wiped down before and after everyone visits. Obviously, hand washing and sanitation are top priorities as well. So.
And there's still takeout. People come in and just buy beer and take it home, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're still doing online deliveries and ordering, so that's an option for anyone who doesn't feel comfortable or safe coming in. We think that we've done our best to ensure that this is going to be our phase 3 success story.
Equated to months of cancellations for Bonfield's Reptile Adventure Camp. As the province reopens, so does the camp. We venture out to the Reptile Adventure Camp on this Tuesday to share the good news of happy campers. Stage 3 of the province's reopening plan has paved the way for Reptile Camp in Bonfield to reopen. There is a limit of 5 kids per week for the rest of the summer. Let's meet some of the campers. Ethan has a bearded dragon.
Well, yesterday we learned that these spikes aren't really hard.
Did it hurt to touch him?
No.
And he looks really friendly. Does he bite?
No. And this white scale on his head. So when a bird flies up, it sends a message to tell him to run.
And how fast does he run? Is he pretty quick?
Yeah. And he runs with 2 legs.
Bryson has taken a liking to this blue-tongued lizard.
His tongue, so bright colors usually mean that in the wild that stuff are venomous, but he is not venomous. He just flashes his tongue at predators, so they think he is venomous, so they don't want to eat him.
Marshall has a shelled creature, more specifically a redfoot tortoise. Is he heavy?
Yeah.
A little heavy?
Yeah.
And how hard is his shell?
Very hard.
Very hard shell?
Yeah,
And he looks pretty friendly. It doesn't look like he's trying to bite you.
He's very funny. And told he had ear in a tongue. What I know about him. All I know about him. I have ear and tongue.
Summer staffer Renee Sariska is happy to be on board.
It's been an amazing opportunity. I love working with reptiles, and being able to share that love with kids that also love reptiles has been awesome. Being able to teach them all about reptiles has been really cool. They love learning the facts and being able to learn how to handle them. So it's been a really rewarding experience.
And what's it like when their eyes light up when they see the animals for the first time?
Oh, it makes me so happy because I feel the same way. So making them just as appreciative is a really good feeling.
Fellow summer staffer Dagmar D'Agostino is back for her 2nd year at Reptile Adventure Camp.
It's awesome. It's really like getting to go to summer camp yourself. It's like being a kid again. So it's fun to, like Renee said, share the excitement with working with the animals and getting to handle everyone and learning yourself.
Spending 2 summers at Reptile Camp in Bonfield may have some positive implications for D'Agostino's future career.
I am hoping to take a science route in university. I'm in health sciences right now, so I'm hoping to either go into the veterinary field or medical field.
If you're looking for proof of a positive effect of Reptile Camp, look no further than the owner, Steve Featherstone.
I think this is one of the coolest jobs that you can have, right? As a kid when I was younger, I loved working summer camp programs. There wasn't anything like this. There wasn't anything that would combine animals and like a zoology type camp with all the sports and games of an outdoor camp. So this really is kind of the ideal camp situation for a lot of kids.
Stay tuned to Cogeco News. More snakes on Wednesday's edition, as we'll have Wild Wednesday for the month of July. Well, our Greg Esterbrooks is running with a head full of steam following his confidence-boosting, albeit narrow victory in tennis last night over yours truly. The Victor has your 5-day weather forecast and takes a couple jabs at me right after this.
Weather is brought to you by Canadore College. Great things happen here.
Welcome back, everybody. It is weather time on an absolutely perfect Tuesday morning. Beautiful area in an area that is just beautiful, period. Behind me, Osprey Links Golf Course, and everybody's out. Also, that away, the Cranberry Trail, all kinds of folks walking their dogs, going for bike rides. I've been here more than 50 years, not in this specific spot, but in this area for more than 50 years. And the beauty of this entire region is still staggering after all this time. Now, there is a thunderstorm in the forecast for Tuesday, but I just don't see that happen. Remember, last night was supposed to be a massive thunderstorm. Didn't materialize. Lots of great weather to enjoy, a lot of different activities. And if you want to play tennis, look me up. After beating Heipel yet again, it's getting easy out there. All right, let's get to the 5-day forecast brought to you by Environment Canada and tell you exactly what to expect as we head into the last few days of July. And yes, the long weekend is approaching. Taking a look at ye olde weather forecast brought to you by Canada and Environment Canada. It says this: overnight on Tuesday, cloudy, pretty good chance of a shower, and yes, the risk of a thunderstorm, believe it or not, low of 16. Wednesday, sun, cloud, and an outside chance of a thunderstorm yet again. High of 24, humidex 29, UV index 8, very high. Small chance of rain overnight on Wednesday, the 29th, a low of 14. Thursday, mix of sun and clouds, small chance of rain, high of 24, cloudy periods overnight Thursday, and a low of 13. For Friday, the last day of July, a mix of sun and cloud, 24, perfect weather really for getting out and about, and cloud overnight Friday and a low of 15. For Saturday, August 1, a high of 26, mainly sunny, cloudy periods overnight on Saturday and a low of 15 degrees. Now the normals for this time of the year are 24 and 14, and on Monday the high was 27 and the low was 17. That is it for the weather for this Tuesday. When we come back, sports with Clark Heipel, a big tennis clinic on the weekend featuring a player that at one point was in the top 50 in the entire world in singles and top 7 in the entire world in doubles. Clark should have been there. It was a great clinic. You know, he could have used the help. Just saying. Sports after this.
Sports is brought to you by Tag Construction for all your construction needs.
Welcome back to Cogeco News. It's time for sports. A very special guest was at the Granite Club, which is also the tennis club, on the weekend. Gary Muller, South African native, was in North Bay. Muller, who now resides in the GTA, was a top 50 singles player and a top 10 doubles player in a pro career that lasted almost 14 years. 60 students from the young to not so young were there to learn as much as they could.
Great hockey town, I know that. The thing is that is any of you playing tennis in the winter? And you playing?
At one point in his long professional tennis career, Gary Muller was ranked top 50 in the world in singles and top 7 in the world in doubles. The former South African now lives in Toronto and came up for a one-day clinic for 3 different age groups. In such a short time frame, what can he deliver to students to make them better quicker?
The most important thing is trying to build a foundation, because everything's repetition of stroke, right? So you try and get racket back early, duplicate the follow through every single time where you can. So you try and keep it simple. Try and get into position, racket back early, and a good finish. The thing is when you're teaching youngsters, you can't tell them too much. Especially if you just met them. So the big thing is racket back early and good follow through.
Fellow South African expat Francois Rockman is the longtime tennis pro at the Granite Club, and he's thrilled to have a player of Muller's ilk in North Bay.
Amazing. It is amazing that we can have someone like Gary Muller of his caliber over here at the club. It inspires the kids such a lot. It just shows them that anything is possible with tennis. If we can have a big name like that was on the international stage of tennis, that was famous and is still famous because of his coaching abilities. If we can have someone over here in North Bay, it just shows the kids that tennis is a big deal over here and it is growing, and it's definitely one of the sports that's making Canada, it's growing big in Canada and it's worth playing.
Muller took up the sport in the 70s when tennis was a gigantic boom sport which carried into the 80s. There might have been a bit of a drop-off, but it's very popular again, very big in Canada for a lot of reasons. But one of the biggest things, no matter where you play, is to hit the ball hard and consistently.
I learned to play in Johannesburg, which is 6,500 feet above sea level, so I was more coming to net all the time. But the game has changed dramatically. The balls are heavier, the courts are slower, and the racket technology, and especially the strings, have changed a lot, where you're able to work the ball a whole lot more than when we played, when I was playing. So you build a big stroke foundation, and then you hit it as hard as you can, and you practice that.
Rockman knows that Muller's visit is a short one, but he can still dispense some knowledge even in one day.
There's not much that he can do with the technique or anything, but he can inspire the kids. He can give a tip or two, and sometimes just reinforce what what I've been telling the kids a lot of times too. Just hearing it from someone else that what is important. That they might really start doing it in the matches and might benefit them.
And Muller says you don't have to be from a huge city to become a huge tennis star.
I would like nothing more than for them to come from a small town. I mean, I came from a really small town in the middle of, on the east coast of Africa, and the reason I played tennis is because of the fact that I wanted to see the world, and that was the only chance I had. So, I took up tennis and fell in love with it. And with the kids here, teams right now, especially with what's going on, team sports are a little bit on hold. So we're going to try and help where we can through tennis development, right?
So that's a big thing. My best friend Greg Estabrook's back on the desk tomorrow, live at 5. We'll see you then.